There are many steps involved in a good sales visit, but it all begins with the introduction. Now, one of the methods that you could use when you introduce yourself is introduce yourself and the organization that you work for. Using a well-known reference or a person that is familiar both to you as well as the person you're talking to always helps. During the introduction, it is very important for you to build rapport and make sure that when you try to build rapport, that you do not talk about sensitive topics. Once you do this, the next step has got to do with trying to identify whether the person in front of you is the right person for you to be talking with, and who are the other members of the decision-making unit who might be responsible for making the decision. Now, doing this without offending the person in front of you is also a key task for the salesperson. Now, remember, while we're doing all this, before we step into the need identification phase, it is very important for you to note that you do your homework, not just about the person you are talking to, but also about their organization, so that you're well prepared for the interview. This does not mean that you do not let the person talk, but it's more for you to be prepared. Now, while you go through the need identification process and kind of gradually move into the need identification process, it should be important for the salesperson to note that you should be talking 20% of the time and listening for most of it. And while you use your SPIN methodology, try to make sure that you use as many open-ended questions as possible so that the customer can give you a lot more information. Now, once the needs are identified, the next step has got to do with trying to make sure that you link the needs that the prospect has mentioned to the features of your offer and talk about benefits. It's much more important to note that the number of features that your offer might have always are greater than the number of benefits. You can do a lot more than what the customer actually wants, but it is in your best interest to only focus on the benefits that the customer is interested in. Now, while you're trying to highlight the benefits, the customer might always come back with a lot of queries or might throw objections. Then it is the job of the salesperson to handle the objections using the feel, felt, found methodology. Now, remember, there's a lot of times when you might not necessarily have an objection, but anytime the salesperson is still talking about the benefits, it is important for the salesperson to clarify whether the customer has understood what is the value that the salesperson is bringing. And using a trial clause like, how does this feel? Does this make sense? Is also very critical at this point in time. Now, once you go through the process, once you try to handle the objections and have handled the objections, the next step has got to do with the close. As we mentioned earlier, the best method for you to do is go back and summarize all the needs the customer has and the benefits that you are likely to provide, and then go to the next step, which has got to do with making and asking for a commitment from the customers. Remember that once you get the commitment, your job does not stop there. It's about making sure that you make the customer feel good about their decision and re-qualify their expectations and make sure that their expectations have not changed from when they initially talked to you. Doing this and taking care of the customers over a longer time frame will ensure that you have a happy customer who comes back and gives you more business.